All good? All right. Well, like I said, I'm going to do something a little bit different today. We're going to talk about snow. So it's December. I've already mobilized for an event. We did so this week on Monday, Sunday to Monday. We had crews out just for the flurries that we may or may not have had in the area. You know, we are getting into that season. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started with the presentation. This is for the 2020 and 2021 winter season. This is the Fredericksburg residency. So I've got 3 counties within the Fredericksburg residency. I've got Stafford County, Spotsylvania County, and Caroline County. For lane miles, I have 284 interstate lane miles, 664 primary lane miles, and 1,835 secondary lane miles. That's a lot of lane miles to maintain, and more importantly, a lot of lane miles to get snow and ice off the roadway. Got 11 commuter lots in those counties, in the green counties that you see over to the right. I have 506 bridges and large culverts, which, as you all know, they very much freeze faster than the asphalt roadway that we've got. And I've got 130 plus VDOT residency employees under my purview in the residency that are out there dedicating their almost entire winter to snow removal. We deal with the local first responders, the school transportation. I've got staff that's entering information into VA traffic and 511. On top of the 130 employees that are reporting up through me, I've got basically every employee in the district, which the district goes all the way down to Kilmarnock and Matthews County and some of those areas. I've got many of those employees at my discretion to use as monitors and have them out on the roadway and admin support. It really is all hands on deck when we get into snow season here in Fredericksburg residency. So some resources, I think these are some really great numbers that I wanted to pass along to you all. Statewide, we have a $211 million budget for snow removal. That's a lot of money. We set that aside every year just for snow and ice removal in the state. For every event that we have, an event being where I have to mobilize and I have contractors out on the road, that's $11 million a day statewide that we're spending on snow removal. For equipment, we use a lot of hired equipment. We absolutely have state equipment, but total pieces, 11,300 of snow equipment signed up that we can have out on the road in what I will call a level 5 storm, where we have 5+ inches of snow on the ground. That's 11,300. That's including heavy equipment, tandems, single axles, all kinds of great stuff. As far as materials goes, we have 690,000 tons of salt sand and treated abrasives, and 2.1 million gallons of liquid calcium chloride or salt brine. Which I'll talk more about that in a little bit. But I say all those numbers. I give these big numbers as far as what we have as a budget statewide. The reality is, no matter what the cost is, we're going to get the snow off the road. That's the commitment that we have. We are not going to stop when we hit a magic number. At the end of the day, we're going to spend whatever resources we have to keep the Virginians that are traveling out on the roadway safe. So that is our commitment for sure. How we prepare, we are, when we get to this time of year, it absolutely rules my life for sure. And I know all of, probably many of you all are dealing with the schools and very much from the VDOT employee perspective, we're constantly watching the forecast. We're looking to see what the ambient temperature is going to be, the roadway temperature is going to be. We have contracted services that we can go in and I can pull up what the road temperature or the bridge temperature is going to look like at any given time within 48 to 72 hours. We utilize that prior to storms to come up with a mobilization plan. Once we get that mobilization plan, we make some decisions. Are we going to pre-treat? Are we going to put salt brine out on the road? So when you all see those trucks out, 24 to 48 hours prior to the storm, putting down what looks like liquid, get some calls. So, oh, why are you putting water on the road? It's going to freeze. Well, it's not just water. It's salt brine. You'll see some little white streaks. That water will evaporate. We've got salt that will maintain on the road, and what that does is that kind of it pushes back the time frame in which my state forces have to get their trucks and get the salt and sand out on the road. It allows us a little bit of cushion, and it pushes back that time that the ice and snow adheres to the pavement. We don't do it on all of our events. I'm probably getting a little bit ahead of myself. I think I have a whole slide on this in a second. So when we talk about mobilization for smaller events, we begin 12 to 18 hours prior to the forecasted storm. But for large events, it's anywhere up to a full day and maybe even more. We're calling contractors. We're getting our trucks staged out at commuter lots and contracts ready for commuter lots, and making sure that all of our VDOT employees are ready and prepared to be called out for 12-hour shifts when the time comes. I just talked a lot about pre-treatment. We have to make some decisions prior to the storm. You will not see us brining, putting the salt brine out on the road or the calcium chloride out on the road on every storm. We have to look at the temperature. If it's going to be too cold, sometimes that salt brine will freeze, and then we could have an ice skating rink, and that is not something we want to do. So if it gets down to around 20 degrees on the pavement temperature, we will not brine. And more often than not, given where we're at in Virginia, a lot of our events start as rain. And if we were to put salt brine out and the rain comes in, it just washes everything right off the road, and we've wasted our time, we've wasted our money. So we try to only do that if it's going to start as snow, and that will buy us some time and allow us to get more ahead of the storm. We treat I-95, that's going to take our top priority. After we do I-95, we also have some trucks that are out doing our primary routes. So we hit Route 1, you'll see us hit 208. You'll see us go out and brine many of our primary roads with routes which are anything 600 and below, or I should say 599 and below. And then as we can, we go and salt brine some of our high volume secondary roads as time permits. It really is going to depend on how much time we have before the storm and how quick we can get started. Road clearing priorities. So like I said, this is not just for salt brine, this is also for our just normal snow removal, whether it's putting down salt, sand, abrasives, or actually putting the plows down on the road. I-95, the ramps, the bridges, the overpasses, that gets the priority. Right outside of that, you've got the primary routes, which I think there's a typo here. That should be routes. Primary routes are numbered 600 and above. The secondary routes are 599 and below. We do make special exceptions, absolutely, for roads that are leading into public safety facilities. We even have industrial drive, let's say, because we know that that's leading out to where Rappahannock Electric has their facility. That is considered a primary route in the world of snow removal, even though the route number might not reflect that. But we have to give priority to a route like Industrial Drive, because if people have power outages, that could be a safety issue. We do the same thing for any of our state-maintained first responder routes. We work with them on a normal basis. I send them our mobilization plans. We are constantly in contact during events. High volume secondary routes, like I said, commuter lots, and then once conditions improve on the above facilities, we enter into subdivisions and low volume secondary routes. Subdivisions is always a hot topic, cold topic when we talk about some of the snow removal efforts that we have. Drivers report to the area headquarters to pick up assigned snow maps with highlighted routes. Plowing only begins when we have 2 inches or more on the ground. That's actually putting the plow down and plowing snow. It's only going to happen when we have 2 inches or more. Other than that, we are using salt and sand and potentially salt brine to treat the roads. For the crews that first plow and treat main subdivision streets, you'll see us sometimes come in and just do one pass on some of the main routes. A lot of people ask why we do that. Well, hey, you missed our street, you missed my subdivision. Well, that's because we need to have one passable route for those first responders to get to where they need to go. If there is an emergency and someone calls 911, we want to get them as close as we possibly can. Not to mention, if someone does have an emergency and they call 911, I have a truck at every single one of my area headquarters that is literally designated for that. I don't care if I'm paying them the entire storm to sit there. They are there in case the first responders need them. Crews return to the plow the side streets as allowable at the end of the storm. That's going to be your low volume subdivision streets. They don't always get that priority, but we will make sure we get to them after the storm is complete. Our goal is to reach most citizens as quickly as possible. We've got hills, curves, intersections that we sand to provide traction. My crews know where some of those larger areas are, where I'll say the hot topic items where you have a larger hill, or maybe there's a cold spot, or maybe there's a drainage issue, whatever it may be. We make sure that these roads are passable. Again, passable does not mean that you're going to get 2 lanes in and out of there. Sometimes passable during the heat of a high-level storm is just what you see in that picture. It's 1 lane in and out, and that's going to be for those first responders in case there is an emergency situation. It's drivable with extreme caution. The road remains snow-packed and will not necessarily be cleared curb to curb, may not be visible bare pavement. Again, we're doing whatever we can to make sure that they get that service that they need in case there is an emergency. And we come back as time allows. So we get a lot of frequently asked questions when we talk about snow. What time will the plow reach my street? For routine winter storms, our goal is to make all roads passable as soon as possible. Following the end of the storm with significant snowfall in the 1 to 2 foot range, additional time may be needed to hit to come into those subdivisions that are low volume roads to clear those things. At the ends of the storm, I work with the school transportation in case there are some routes where they need to, maybe our contractor missed something. I'm constantly in contact with the school transportation people to make sure that those routes are cleared so that they can get back to school. I live on a cul-de-sac or a side street. Why are the other roads plowed first? I think we kind of touched on that already. Sometimes we do those main passes in to make sure that the emergency first responders can get in and out. That will get you, close to where you need to go. What if I have a medical emergency? This is an easy one. You call 911. Like I said, I've got crews that are literally designated for that sit on the lot that are ready to go. Why doesn't VDOT put down sand and salt before it snows? Well, when you talk about sand and salt coming down before a storm, you get wind, you get rain, you get traffic that beats it off the road. We would be wasting money, we'd be wasting resources. That's why we have that salt brine where you see the pre-treatment out there. That salt sticks to the road even after that water evaporates unless there is a rainstorm. Why does the plow push snow in front of my mailbox at the end of my driveway? Can VDOT come back and remove the snow? We get that one a lot. I've worked with some of you all on this exact same complaint. I would encourage, if you all get questions, I would encourage them to put it in through the 1-800-4ROAD system. That stuff comes directly to us. Even during the storm, we compile all that stuff, and at the end, we make sure we get back to these citizens. The reality is, the snow has to go somewhere. We have to get the snow off the road. Our plows are angled. We're on the right side of the road, and when we make a pass around a cul-de-sac, it pushes that snow out. I tell people all the time, make sure when you're shoveling your road, know that plow is going to come back by. And if you put the snow on a certain side of your driveway, which would be look at the right, looking from the road, my plow is going to knock it right back into your driveway. So shovel that stuff to the left of your driveway if you're looking from the road. I tell people that all the time. It is a necessary evil to get the snow off the road. It is up to the citizens to come and make sure that their driveway is open and clear. Additional information. So we actually have what's called a VDOT plow tracker. So all of our equipment, whether it's state equipment or contractor equipment, has AVLs on it. I can look at any time and see where my equipment is. Not only that, the public can go and they can look and see different maps and see if we've started plowing in their area. I encourage you all to check that out when you're in the middle of a storm. You've got vdotplows.org. You can see their readiness. They have the different maps, and you'll have their color-coded to see where we're at as far as snow removal throughout the state, really. We also have additional VDOT staff, which is outside of just my residency staff, that is there acting as monitors. They're riding the roads. They're looking at the subdivisions, and they're keeping up with those contractors. I probably have over 300 employees that come to and work for the Fredericksburg residency during snow removal. Drivers and residents can help. Before and during the storms, monitor the forecasts, make plans accordingly, telework and adjust commutes, ensure you have gas, wiper fluid, proper tires, food, water, and medicine when driving. After the storm, follow the driveway shoveling tips. Give plows the room that they need. Be patient. We'll get there. It's just a process. We have to hit certain priority routes as we go to make sure that we're keeping the motorists safe. Informational resources, we have vdotplows.org. That's where you can track some of your areas and see if we've started plowing in that area. We have our VDOT 511 system. I highly recommend you all following some of that stuff, whether it's on Twitter or social media. We are updating those live time during events. I have staff that is designated to only look at VA traffic and make sure that the conditions, whether it's severe or moderate conditions or light conditions, whatever it may be, they are actively updating that every 4 to 6 hours, I believe, during the storm. So I definitely recommend everybody using that. We have a Facebook group, that's VDOT Fredericksburg District Facebook. Obviously the virginiadot.org, and then we have the 1-800-4-ROAD, which I recommend, for any safety concerns from your citizens, please direct them back to that. That stuff comes into our system. We're able to put it in our queue and track it and get back with people. It might not always be in the middle of the storm unless it's a safety issue, but again, if there's an emergency, I recommend dialing 911 and we will work with those first responders.